Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that actually, because that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to the picture, drawn to this project.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, Jana.
Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to talk to you and to talk about this psychological thriller, Wild Indian, which your performance is amazing.
Oh,
Thank you
thank you
so
very
much for
much.
that. Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing that for us. So, what was about the script? What was about this story that got your attention?
Hmm. Well, certainly it was Lyle's script. Lyle Mitchell Corbine Jr. is the writer director of this film, and I got the script through email from my reps with a letter from Lyle asking me to read it. And of course, the moment I finished the last page, I got onto the phone immediately and I said, I have to do this movie. It blew me away. I hadn't seen depictions like this. I hadn't seen a complexity of storytelling in this kind of setting, a contemporary urban setting, uh, uh, anything like this really. And I knew I had to do this film.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Like and your performances, as I mentioned, it's outstanding, and you work like this. There is this, not two characters, but like your characters have this duality inside.
Mm.
How did you prepare for that? And also physically, you change it a little bit.
Yes. The character I play is Michael Peterson, whose original name was Makwa Gizeg, and he changed it as part of a change in his character from when he was a young man growing up on the reservation in Wisconsin. And he embraced settler culture. He embraced the culture around him and rejected his own Anishinaabe culture. And so that change in his name reflected a desire on his part to run away from who he was and the history, difficult, violent history that he grew up with. So for me, there was a built-in kind of, in a way, I had to play two characters. I had to play Michael, who is a successful, ambitious businessman. And at the same time, I had to play Makwa, who lived right behind the mask, who was terribly alone, terribly angry. And that violence, the violence of Makwa, was always just right near the surface. So to play, how that violence and how the mask was trying to hold it in was one of the great challenges of my career.
Yeah, you can see like, and sometimes when show him like as Michael, he's kind of stuck there too, like weird, because he doesn't know how to act even in front of his kid, in front of his wife. It's like it's so. And the way that you did was like, oh my God, he's so stuck. Your body language, it shows that. And did you how was like your physical preparation? Did you have to like, I don't know, lose weight? No,
Yeah, I
like how
certainly
was
did,
like,
actually. I knew the character Michael is about 10 years younger than me. So I knew that as a younger man, he would have to be quite lean. So I actually lost 35 pounds to play Michael. And I'm not someone who particularly loves gym life, but I knew that Michael actually would be obsessed with his appearance. So I started to work out and lift weights and do all the kinds of stuff that a young, upwardly mobile, image conscious man would want to do. The interesting thing about losing that weight is you're always angry because you're so hungry, and that was Michael. Michael's always hungry, like he has an insatiable appetite for success, for affirmation, all to cover the wounds of his past, and he can never have enough. So So that hunger certainly helped inform how I looked at playing him.
Yeah, but you mentioned the past. The past always comes back to, I don't know how many years. If you have something that is like not solved back then, they're gonna come back to you. So I was like, yeah. So I think it's amazing, like the way that the director did the story, the way that he wrote the script. Did he give you like a rooms for improvisation? That was like the way that you approached the character. What was those type of conversations with the director?
Lyle's a wonderful, wonderful director, not only a great writer, but he has a beautiful intuitive sense about how to speak to me, how to speak to Chaske and the other actors. We actually shot the entire film in 17 days, which is extraordinary to shoot a feature film with that kind of complexity in such a tight period. So we actually had to work very efficiently, and Lyle was very calm, very efficient about how we shot the scenes. And he would often just speak to me in a shorthand, because we're both native, and he would say, "Oh yeah, I think this scene is a little bit like, that uncle who," and he'd give me an example, and I'd go, "I know exactly what you're talking about," because we came from similar experiences. I think the other thing that he was very, very clear about was that, as you had suggested, there was an arrested kind of emotional development for Michael Peterson, in many ways, in order to cover up the circumstances of his early life. His emotional growth was stunted, and in many ways he could not function with emotional literacy as an adult man. And that created, of course, many more problems within his family life, within his marriage, certainly at work. And Lyle would say things to me like, if Kate had touched my face, he'd say, "Remember, Makwa he's never been touched that way before. He's only been struck or hit or pushed. So he doesn't know how to understand what that means." So he was emotionally illiterate in many ways. And I think that created that sort of sense of his alienness, like his discomfort in being in social situations.
Yeah, no, it's really good what you guys did together. And even with the rest of the cast, with Jesse, with Jesse Eisenberg, the way that you act at work, with Kate, the wife, the cousin that goes after him. And I think you guys did a really good job, everybody. Also, another thing that I like the most about the movie, because shows the Native Americans that can be successful too. And sometimes people forget about that. You know what I mean? That everybody have opportunities. And this is something that I like the most, even though Michael has this horrible past.
Yes.
But
yes.
Regardless, he's representing, like, he's a very successful businessman, have a beautiful family, living in a beautiful apartment. How important for you to be part of those type of projects that salutes the Native American, not just the way that everybody's seeing them in a different way that you're seeing right in this movie?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, actually, because that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to the picture, drawn to this project. I think one of the tropes, one of the stereotypes that we've seen in American cinema in regards to indigenous people is that we're painted often as victims. We're painted often as powerless. And to me, that's a very, very tired trope. And I refuse to play characters that are not empowered. Michael is successful and ambitious and powerful. He's like the apex predator, as he moves through the whole movie. And I think even though it's built on a terrible past and a kind of incoherent rage, it's still it's still powerful. It's still powerful to see a contemporary Indigenous person, in these beautiful suits, the way they photograph me, the way he lives his life. I think that's an important story to tell as well. And I enjoy being in cinema right now and doing the work I am, because these images can change people's perceptions very powerfully, and I embrace that.
Yeah, no, I think all the movies that are coming out right now, like for the couple of years, like changes the perceptions of the Latinos, the Asians, the Native Americans, for everybody, because there is like a pre-concept about them, like the stereotypes, and it's not true. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not true. It's not just that. We have the other side too. I think it's amazing. And aside from Wild Indian, do you have any other projects coming up? Anything that you can talk about?
Yes. A few projects I can't say anything about yet, but I just opened a film at the Toronto International Film Festival called Wildhood. It's a beautiful story by a two-spirit Mi'kmaq filmmaker, a coming-of-age story that was really profoundly beautiful. I also finished the Blumhouse remake of Firestarter by the author Stephen King, and that will be in movie theaters next year. Blumhouse and Universal, starring Zac Efron, and I have a fantastic part in it. I play the character of John Rainbird. And of course, I'm returning to Los Angeles to start season 2 of Rutherford Falls, a show for Peacock that I'm extremely proud of. So I'm staying busy.
Yeah, which is amazing. The series, I love it.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Really cool. I love it, and
thank you.
And I cannot wait to see you again on season 2 and all these other movies. So, Mike, I just want to thank you so much for your time, and it's a pleasure to talk to you, and always a pleasure to see you on screen, and like always portraying these wonderful characters. But this one got my heart, even though it's a little weird, but I love him.
Yeah, that means a lot to me, Jana. Thank you. I'm so proud of this movie. So proud of the work that we were able to create with Lyle. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.